In this video, I'd like to show how to tie a 13-part 4-bight Casa Knot, which is a little longer than the last two videos we did. And I'm going to show how to tie it kind of like I have in my book with 3 wraps and straight back. And then we'll tie it again and do more of laying it where they go in the knot. But let's do 3 wraps, 1, 2, 3, and then I just go straight back over 3. Now, this can cause the knot to be twisted, but it's just easy and quick, and I've done it this way for a long time. Now I go over 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, you do under, over 3 times. So it's under, over, under, over, under, over. And then I just pull it straight back through there. Now that we're back to our standing end, and this is the laying tracks and splitting tracks method. So we're going to go under, over 3 times, and we're going to be following the right hand side of our standing end. Under, over, under, over, and we're just following this string. Under, over. Now that we've crossed out over, we're going to cross over the one we've been following and follow it down the left side. So we're going to go over, under, and then it's going over 2, so we go over 2, under, over 2, under, and now the knot over. Now we're back to our standing end, so we're going to split our tracks. Here's our tracks. We're going to go over 1, under 1, and then we got 2 going over our tracks, so we go over 2, then under 1, over those 2, under 1, and out over the knot. Now we're going to go under this outside bight to get in our tracks. And now we're just splitting our tracks. It'll just be over 1, under 1. Over, under. Over, under. Over, under. And tying it with this method, your knot's kind of loose, and you can kind of just move it around, and it kind of straightens as you go. And this is the method I usually use when I'm tying a knot. Okay, we're back to our standing end. We go in alongside of it, and we're finished. And I got that pretty straight for as twisted as I started tying it. But okay, now we're going to tie that same knot with the building the pattern or braiding process. And I got us a bigger stick because I think we'll take this knot onto a 6-bight. But here we go. We're going to go around our mandrel, and where the finished bite's going to be is on the back right down there. So now we need to do 3 overs, but we're going to have 1 at the front right there on top, 1 at the back there, and then 1 right here in line with this one as we cross our standing end. Now, instead of coming all the way around and following the standing end, we're going to turn right there, put that bight right where it's going to go in the finished knot, and we're just going to follow the left hand side of that standing part doing the opposite that it's doing. So there's an over, there's an over, and then we go out of the knot over. Now we're going to turn and go back through the knot, doing under over 3 times, and we're doing the opposite of the strand we're tying next to. So there's our under over. We roll our knot to our next segment, and we do under over. We roll the knot to our next segment, and we do an under over out of the knot. And then we're going to turn and go right alongside of this, the last strand we cross. We're going to make a bight right there and turn and go right along the side of it. And we get to our first segment here, and we're going to do an under over, the opposite of the strand on our right. Under over. And I got quite a bit of string where I'm going to go to a bigger knot. But see how these 3 are right together? We just keep following. Here's our next segment. So we're doing an under over. And it's the opposite of this strand on our right. I just keep rolling the knot toward me. And we're going to do our under over coming out of our knot. Under over. And we're placing these strings where they go in the finished knot so that our knot should stay fairly straight and you can tie it tighter. Now we're going to make a bight right there. We're going to go along the right hand side of this string, and we're doing an over, under, over in each segment. So we do it 3 times. And it's the opposite of this string. Now, we ended our segment with an over, and we're starting the next one with an over, so it's actually an over 2. And you can see that by the opposite right here. So that this over finishes the first segment. This over starts the second segment. So there's an over, under, over. Okay, that finished that segment. We go to this. That was an over, and this is an over. Here's our over, under, over. And we go out of our knot. We make a bight right there, and we're going to turn and go right alongside of this strand. And we do an over, under, over 3 times. Over, under, over. Now, and we're still doing the opposite of this string. So that was our last over. This is the start of our next segment with an over. So that made an over 2. So over, under, over. Now we go to our next segment. That over finished that segment. This over starts the next one. Doing the opposite of this string. Over, under, over. Out of the knot. Now we're going to turn right alongside of the last one we crossed. We'll make a bight right there, and we go right along the side of this, and we're doing the opposite. So it's an under, over, under, over is our 3 segments. And in these longer knots, by doing that far, you can make your knot a little bit crooked. It's best if you just do about 2 over-unders. But okay, that's over. We're doing the opposite, so that's under, over, under, over. I'm going to pull my string. And there's our over. Okay, now we're to our last segment with our under, over, under, over. We cross out, so now we turn. We're making a bight right there. We're going along the left side of this strand, doing the opposite. So there's an under, over, under, stay along this side so we keep our strings parallel with each other. So there's an over, and we're doing the opposite. So that's over, so we're going to go under. That's over, so we're going, that one's under, so we're going over. That's over, so we go under. Pull my string. Okay. Over, under, over, under, and out to the knot with an over. Okay. The last one we crossed over, we're going to make a bight right there, and then we're going to come into the knot doing the opposite of this. So that's over, under, over, under. I'm going to pull my slack because we're going to come up to this over 2. So that finishes our segment. So we just go over 2, and then we're going to do an under, over, under. That gets me to my next segment because there's our over 2. So we go over 2, under, over, under, over. All right, turn it. And if you're a tracks person, there's your tracks. That's the way I like to tie them. But here we are doing the opposite. Here's the strand we went over. So we're gonna make a bight right there, and we're gonna go over, under, over, under, and we're going to pull our string. And this is our last pass up. So we're just splitting the distance between the tracks there. Okay, there's our last over and our first over. So we go on over 2. Then under, over, under. We'll pull our string. There's our over. So we're doing the opposite of this string. So over 2, under, over, under. And it's over out of the knot. Okay, there's our bight that we go under. See, here's our over that we crossed, and we turn to make a bight right there, and we come under that outside bight to get alongside of the strand that we've been following, or the tracks we're splitting, however you want to look at it. So it's over, under, over, under. and then I pull my string, which helps me not get twisted and not get my knot warped out of shape too bad. So here's an over under and an over under. And when you're digging those out, you want to try not to move these other strands much, because you've placed them where they should be in the finished knot. Okay, there's an over, under, over, under, okay, over, under, and over, under, and we're back to our standing end. We go under alongside of our standing end to finish our knot. Now we tied a 13-part 4-bight knot first. Then this time we've raised it to a 6-bight knot. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 part 6-bight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And where we laid it, where the strands were going to be in the finished knot. Now we still got a little straightening out to do, because see how this square is kind of small and these squares are a little bigger. So you've got to straighten it out a little bit and make sure that you're not straight. But this knot is ready to put an interweave in. So I hope you'll try to tie our 13-part 4-bight knot and then raise it to a 6-bight knot. Thank you for watching.